When recording guitar, the most important thing is mic placement. After mic placement, phase comes into play when you're using more than one mic, but mic placement is going to change everything. If you spend no time and just throw a mic up, your guitar will sound like that. But if you spend time and manipulate where the mic is in relation to the cone on your specific speaker, it will help a lot. Sometimes right on the cone is great. Sometimes slightly off axis is better. Depends on your amp, depends on the way you have your amp EQ'd, your guitar you're using, so many things. So the kind of speaker it is, all these things are going to play into effect on whether you like the sound where it is. So the track you're playing with, everything. So make sure you spend a little time and try to make it sound great when you're recording. Don't try to save it after. And in order to make it sound great, shine a light through the speaker so you can see where the cone is exactly. And then you can decide how close or far away you want to be from it. But it won't be just haphazard, and it won't be willy-nilly based on how you just threw it up. It has to have a purpose. Then put your second mic as close to that as possible to make sure the capsules are very close together and the phase will generally be very close to being accurate out the gate when you do that. So you'll have to manipulate it either way. Make sure you're in phase, and the way you do that is by moving around one of the mics slightly one way, slightly another way, until it disappears when you have the phase flipped on one of them. In other words, it's way easier to hear it getting worse than getting better. So what you're going to do is flip the phase on one of the channels. I achieve this by putting a plug-in on that works in real time with a phase flip on it. That's all you need. Then by making it sound as disappeared, as quiet, as nasally, as tinny, as small as possible, with the phase flipped on one of the channels. All you have to do is flip the phase, like take that plug-in off, or if you have a console, flip the phase, and now it should sound as big as possible. The contrast should be huge, and that's how you'll know it's great. Because when you go back to that and it sounds tiny and small, if you can manipulate and move the mic slightly in one direction or another, a little tiny bit here or there, and it makes it sound quieter and worse, that's good. In other words, you're doing it so it's supposed to get as bad as you can by flipping the phase on one of those channels. It should be as out of phase as possible, which means when you flip the phase back the other way, it will be open and as big as possible. And the bigger the difference there, the more accurate your phase is. So that's what he called in that video super phase. I never heard of that before. I never heard anybody call it that. But this technique makes so much sense. A lot of guys I know use one mic, but you can get a much better sound if you use two. Two complementary mics, in my opinion, work the best. But there's some things to keep in mind. What you want is to record everything and have it sound a certain way, and then you don't want that to change if you manipulate the fader volume of one of those mics or the other mic. In other words, you don't want to have to always keep them the same in a group. So what I like to do is capture that as a stereo track. If you don't have the ability to do that, use a mixer of some kind to be able to put your two mics down to one track. You know, you could do it in a lot of different ways. You could use it with an external mixer that literally feeds into one input. So you basically mix the signals yourself. But another move is, what I like to do is I'll use one stereo converter, which I have external mic pre's. I can set the volumes however I want. I could set EQ however I want on these mic pre's. But I'll generally use pre's that are like, I like the 1073 sound in general on a lot of things. Guitar, some people would say no, but I like it on everything, honestly. It's just warm and great. So if you use like the 1073 style mic pre, you don't have to mess with the EQ much. On the Everlong, that guy, he said he added a little top end. That was it, just a little brightness on top. He didn't do shit else. So he didn't compress it. He just added EQ when he's recording it, right? So what we're going to do is similar. We're going to just basically take the signals, two of them, into one stereo converter. So if you have, if all your converters are mono in the front, just plug one in the left, one in the right, but capture it onto a stereo like 1 and 2, so that all gets to one track. Because if you needed to, you could split it out later in the DAW, but the idea here is you're capturing it in phase. You're capturing it the way it's going to sound, and it will never change if you do it this way. Because you don't want those two mics to be treated as two mics. You want them to be treated as one. So you might as well capture it on a stereo track. I don't understand the idea of capturing it on mono tracks and then having to note that they're that there's one performance, but it's two mics. It just makes everything more confusing. So I like to do it this way. Especially if you're sending it out, you want the sound to kind of maintain what you did. So this is what you would do. This track right here is my stereo track of both two mics. I use a Sennheiser and I use a ribbon, like a Royer 121 style ribbon. It's a clone, but it's still that kind of ribbon, and it's smooth. Some other popular combinations are SM57 and Sennheiser 421, which is the most popular tom microphone probably historically. Nowadays, a lot of people are realizing how bad they sound on cymbals and avoiding that, or maybe they always realized it. Is generally the most popular tom microphone. A Sennheiser 421 is also going to be great on guitar, paired with a 57 or paired with a ribbon mic. Another good option is a Sennheiser 441, which is similar to the 421, but slightly different characteristics. Compare that with a 57 or a ribbon. You got great results. There's tons of other options too. Experiment. Sky's the limit. Well, I hope that helps. It's going to take a lot of time to get good at recording guitar, but with these blueprints, you'll have a huge leg up. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please hit that like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out a lot. And I also want to let you know that we offer mixing and mastering private lessons, and we have a special offer going on right now for mixing and mastering. If you have a song you need done, whether it's mixing or mastering or both, whatever it is, hit us up, Facebook, Instagram, leave a comment on the video. Our email's in the description. My name's Evan Jaffe. Just keep in mind, you guys got this, all right? Piece of cake. Talk to you soon.